This Bloodborne series covers how to do all quests and missable content in order so that all choices and rewards will be available. For best results, follow this series from the start of part 1. There will be spoilers in the form of important information, and as usual, useful timestamps can be found in the video description. At the end of part 1, we had just arrived at the Old Yharnam lamp. In part 2, we'll be covering important tasks to complete there and beyond before ultimately making our way to the Hemwick Charnel Lane. We'll begin at the Old Yharnam lamp and collect a couple of items before moving towards the tower where retired hunter DJURA is stationed on a Gatling gun. Despite his hostile presence, our goal for now will be to just avoid him. We don't want to hurt him. Right as DJURA begins to shoot at us, we can drop down a ledge and then move to the right and drop down another ledge to a hidden area. To jump in Bloodborne, you need to be sprinting by holding the dodge button, then quickly let go of the dodge button and tap it again. Running up through this building, we can gather both the rifle spear and charred hunter garb before heading back out and up towards the turret tower. We'll only be climbing up the first tall ladder. From there, we will drop down to the right and head to the top level of a large temple structure. We need to perform a well-executed jump if we are to reach a secluded area with the Bloody Messenger head bandage accessory. We can then drop the rest of the way down and head out through the exit behind an altar. Moving to the right, we can go up a ladder to open a shortcut, then slide back down and move through the nearby corridor into an alleyway. Also, I want to mention at this point that I'm saving upgrade materials to use on a new weapon that we will be able to buy soon. After passing by a couple of Scourge beasts, another beast will burst out of a tower on our right. Moving up the spiral staircase, we can open a shortcut that leads directly back to the Old Yharnam lamp. Given the upcoming boss fight, we should make a brief stop at the Hunter's Dream to spend our blood echoes and resupply before returning to Old Yharnam. We'll make use of that shortcut we just opened, and on our way to it, we can defeat a Wandering Madness to get more Bloodstone Shards, and also make a brief diversion to find the Hunter's Torch. Returning to the tower with the spiral staircase, there are then a couple of useful items we can grab along the path to the next major boss. Be careful if you decide to go for the Wandering Madness along the way, as the Scourge Beast just before it will chase you down. There should be an ally, Vile Blood Hunter Alfred, that we can summon before heading into the nearby structure for the next boss fight. You can pause now if you want to face it blind. For everyone else, let's talk about strategies for dealing with the blood-starved beast. Having an NPC ally is a great help during this fight, and I found that standing to the left of the beast when it goes for a large swipe attack will set us up to get in several good attacks of our own. It also is weak to fire damage. Once we've damaged the blood-starved beast enough, its attacks will start inflicting slow poisoning, and that can often be more of a problem than the physical damage. Antidotes can be helpful, but just healing through it is also an option. Finally, I was able to get the beast backed into a corner, and that made defeating it much easier. Upon defeat, the blood-starved beast will drop the Pthumeru Chalice and also trigger several changes in the open world. Chalice rituals are something we won't be covering until much later into the game, but you can technically start doing some right now if you want. In any case, we will make a brief stop at the Hunter's Dream to spend our blood echoes before returning to the Cathedral Ward, where a new path has opened out to the right. There's a lift we can take to an upper level, and before exploring this way, we can go back down the lift and step off into a hidden area halfway down. Going through this area will get us the Formless Odin rune and Messenger Urn Festival accessory. I'll have more to say on what we can do with those runes in part 3 of this series. Next, we'll drop back down to the bottom level of the chapel and go back up the lift. we'll find the Communion rune near a seated gunner. Heading to the top of the Healing Church workshop, we'll then find the Radiant Sword Hunter badge. Going back down a couple of levels, we can then move out into the right, following a Wandering Madness down to a hidden area below. It will drop a couple of twin Bloodstone shards when defeated, which is the second tier of upgrade material for our weapons. The first thing we want to do in this hidden area is to carefully drop down to a ledge with the Messenger top hat accessory. We can then use a Bolt Hunter mark to return to the Cathedral ward lamp and make our way back to the start of this hidden area. Once there, we will have to make a couple of large but survivable falls to reach the entrance of the hidden abandoned old workshop. There, we can collect the doll armor set, small hair ornament, 1/3 of umbilical cord, and old hunter bone. We can also activate the nearby lamp. We'll then return to the previous tower and drop the rest of the way down. Defeating the beast-possessed soul at the bottom will net us the Beast rune, and we can then open the pair of doors out to the streets. We can get the rumpled Yharnam hat and sweaty clothes down the alley to our left, then move the rest of the way through and left towards a lift. The lift will bring us to a previously inaccessible part of the Cathedral Ward. Pulling a lever will open one path back to the Cathedral Ward lamp, and we can grab the shield just beyond it. We'll then climb the nearby ladder and drop down an alternate route back to the lamp, picking up the black messenger hat along the way. This is probably a good time to stop back at the Hunter's Dream and spend our blood echoes. We can also give the doll that small hair ornament we found, and we will get the Tear Stone in return. That can be used to get the Tear Blood Gem. This can then be slotted into our offhand weapon for some passive healing. That Radiant Sword Hunter badge we got earlier means the messenger shop will now sell us Ludwig's Holy Blade. This is as close as we can get to a greatsword weapon in Bloodborne, and I really like it. However, it will require investing some time into collecting enough blood echoes to afford it. For that, we can return to the Cathedral Ward and open up the remaining shortcuts, and feel free to run around the areas we've already covered in this guide and defeat enemies in order to get enough echoes for the Holy Blade if you like. You don't have to do this next part until later, but accessing the Hypogean jail early will give us the option to farm both Blood Echoes and Twin Bloodstone Shards at the same time. That will then enable us to upgrade our weapon of choice all the way to +6 if we choose to do so. To unlock the Hypogean jail early, start from the Cathedral Ward lamp and move out through the front exit and then around the chapel to the right. There should be a new enemy type prowling in the corner, the Snatcher. Getting defeated by this enemy will result in a cutscene and our delivery to the Hypogean jail. We then just need to move out and up the spiral staircase to reach the lamp for this area. We can defeat a Wandering Madness along the way to get more Twin Bloodstone Shards. I found the best way to farm Blood Echoes and Twin Bloodstone Shards here is to defeat the 2 Snatchers on the main floor before returning to the Hunter's Dream, rinse and repeat. The Snatchers are tough and deal a lot of damage, but they are also pretty slow and predictable. Start with a charged heavy attack to the front, then wait for them to enrage before hitting them from behind with a charged heavy attack. This should stun them, allowing for the performance of a visceral attack. Also, if you choose to do this farm, you might as well grab the Moon Rune that is located near the 2nd Snatcher. We can also go outside to round up the Tonitrus weapon and Yahar'gul Black Garb set. Be careful doing this though, as the enemies in this area are fairly advanced. In any case, I did this farm until I had enough Twin Bloodstone Shards to upgrade my Holy Blade all the way to +6. I was also able to use my remaining Blood Echoes to reach level 30. Next, we need to complete some missable quest steps before challenging the next major boss, having to do with Eileen the Crow. We'll find her by going to the Cathedral Ward Lamp and heading out the front exit. She will be to our left, and speaking with her multiple times will get us the shh gesture. We can then go back into the chapel and up into the Tomb of Odin. There, we'll find a hostile NPC by the name of Henrik. Eileen will also show up to help defeat Henrik just a few moments later. Be sure to avoid harming Eileen while defeating Henrik, and it's also crucial to Eileen's questline that she survives this fight. Henrik drops the air Rune when defeated, and we can speak with Eileen a few times after to get the approval gesture. With that, we can return to the Cathedral Ward Lamp and make our way to the Grand Cathedral for our next boss fight. Along the way, we can summon Henriette as an ally, though I personally found this to be unnecessary. All we need to do is run past several enemies and open the doors leading into the Grand Cathedral, where we will face our next boss, and you can pause now if you want to do so blind. For everyone else, I don't have a ton of advice for this fight besides using fire damage. I personally did not find Vicar Ameila to be very challenging, at least not with Ludwig's Holy Blade. For the most part, I just spammed the charged R2 plus R2 follow-up combo while trying to stay on Amelia's sides. Defeating Vicar Ameila will get us the gold pendant, which we can use for a free gold blood gem. We can also activate the nearby lamp. Before leaving, we should investigate the skull on the nearby altar to progress the main events of the game. Returning to the Hunter's Dream, and assuming we have the Old Hunter's DLC installed, we should now find the Eye of a Blood-Drunk Hunter at the foot of the stairs. This can be used to access the DLC, but we won't be doing that until much later in this series and playthrough. When it comes to leveling up at this point, I would recommend getting Vitality to at least 40, then start investing into the major stats required for dealing damage with your build. For my build, it's actually 2 major stats, those being Strength and Skill. Also, I'll show the location of a different messenger bath where new items can be purchased with Insight points. It's located out the doors on the left when entering the workshop. I would recommend saving your insight though, as this shop sells some important items for ritual Chalice dungeons later on. There are some last important NPC interactions and quest ups to cover before the end of this part. Returning to the Cathedral Ward lamp, we will move out the left passage, going towards the courtyard that leads up to the Grand Cathedral, the one with the large fountain. When we see that fountain, we will turn left and go past a couple of church servants, along a small path that leads down into an alleyway. There are 2 NPCs at the left end of this alley. The first will be on the right, spoken to through a window, simply known as Skeptical Man. He will be uncooperative until we've spoken through the door on our left to the other NPC, Arianna. It's crucial that we tell Arianna of Odin Chapel in order to complete her quest and get the 3rd game ending. After speaking to her, we can speak with the Skeptical Man and he will go to the opposite location that we tell him about. So if we want to do right by him, we should tell him of Iosefka's clinic. This will actually cause him to go to Odin Chapel. Just a short distance down the alley on our left, we will find the Black Church Garb set. This next part isn't crucial for any quest or achievement, but I'm going to show where we can get a decent blood gem for physical damage weapons. It's located near Alfred's second location. If we want, we can also speak to Alfred for some new information. If we reload the game and return to Odin Chapel, we will now find Arianna in a chair. Speaking to her will prompt us to receive a vial of her blood. We can do this if we want and as long as we haven't yet rescued Adella from the Hypogean jail. It's just important that we don't receive her blood more than a couple of times or else it may result in failing her questline. If you want to play it safe, just refuse Arianna's blood or only take it a single time. We can also find the skeptical man to the left of the front entrance of Odin Chapel. Speaking with the man a couple of times will garner some useful advice for our future travels. Now, I mentioned an NPC we haven't met yet, Adella. If we return to the Hypogean jail lamp and move down the spiral staircase to the bottom level, then go to the back left corner of that chamber, there will be one more staircase that we can go down to the basement where Adella is found cowering in a corner. Equipping the Black Church Garb set will allow us to then speak with Adella and tell of Odin Chapel. Adella will then be found in the right corner of Odin Chapel and will offer her blood vials to us one at a time. She will only do this if we have not already gotten a blood vial from Arianna. And again, I want to stress that it's not safe to ask Arianna for any more blood from this time on. One last thing, speaking with Adella will also get us the church bow gesture. If you're having trouble or need any clarification on what was covered in this guide, you can reach out to me in the comments where I'll do my best to help. The next two major destinations are Hemwick Charnel Lane and the Forbidden Woods, both of which will be covered in part 3 of this series. You can find it over on my channel, and if you're new, consider subscribing. You're helping me feed my cats, Marshmallow and Coco. Have a great day. If you're here today, have a great Saturday and a great weekend. And as always, thanks for watching.